here to develop or to achieve our highest potential. So what does highest potential mean? For some people it means to be the light, right? To be that light, to be clear and to get rid of confusion.
Yeah. Although we say that in one sense, the opposite of clarity would be confusion. Of course, in another sense, there is no opposition to clarity. Clarity is all that there is. What becomes confusing is ourselves that stand in the way of this. So we could talk, I suppose, in a sense about relative clarity, relative confusion, and realizing that those are the, where we are in the world. In your famous oval, and it's that little one that sits on the edge. So that, but in itself, there is no confusion, because there is no clarity that can be opposed to it. Because that clarity that, is the clarity that we're talking about here, the spiritual clarity, does not exist provisionally. It exists absolutely. Not by contrast with confusion, but simply because it is in itself.
Is there? It is our mind. It is our mind, or our egos, if you want to call it, what creates the confusion. In other words, what is true is clarity. What is what's illusion, what is not true, is confusion. And why do we believe, or why do I think sometimes that, as a human beings we become confused?
We can, but then we have to recognize, I suppose, what seem to be, although again they're probably illusory, the different parts of ourselves, the ego, the spirit, the soul, and the spiritual. If we need those words to try to understand what it is we're talking about, then we run the risk of being confused. If we don't need them, if we can somehow find a way to dispense with those, then we won't be confused, because there's nothing to be confused about.
Okay, so David, if let's say we are very clear now, we have clarity. How is our life different? And I know that I'm trying to, you're probably going to say, well, we don't have to explain again, because I really like what you always said, how can we explain, just be it. But for the sake of people like me, who will like explanations, what would it look like to, what does it look like to be very clear?
Well, in a sense, it wouldn't look any different from what it is now. Do you remember when we've been talking about a nice home, a fancy car, and all that, and then we talk about not being, one have those things and still be a spiritual person if you're not attached.
Don't be attached, yes.
The same thing I think goes for knowledge about knowing what it would be like. Is that so long as we might be attached to those things, so long as we're attached to trying to understand them, then we run the risk of becoming confused. But if we can somehow detach even the question of what it